Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at a Mega Blood. I have pretty much filled out this deck. I've gone through some popular lists from tournaments and such, and this seems to be the most solid one I could come across that I thought would be nice to cover. So this does take advantage, of course, of the new Steel Rot Vampire, and it is a very respectable card indeed, and definitely worth giving a shot if you have the cards for it. Again, I don't recommend making decks most of the time unless you already have some of the cards for them, or you think you could pilot the deck just as well. I can only make recommendations on my opinion. A lot of people ask me all the time, what should I replace, what should I do? They're decisions that mostly you can make yourself. I will try and give my opinion here and there, but really that is about it. So, we're going to get right into this and check it out. So kicking off today's video, our first matchup is against RuneCraft. I would say surprise, but I mean at this point guys, you should be expecting Rune to make up almost 50% of the matches that we play these days. So starting us off with Restless Parish, Unleashed Nightmare, and Metal Blade Demon. Metal Blade Demon, the one I don't want. Unfortunately, redrawing the same card hurts my feelings just that little bit, but isn't the end of the world. I'm sure I can work around that. So really all I can do is draw some cards, try and get things cheaper. Destructive Succubus actually isn't a bad card if you can take advantage of it, although I've rarely taken advantage of it in this variation in particular, since I usually win the game with a mono. It's not really focused on evos like the other one is, because there are a couple of different variants that are similar to this deck. This one is definitely more focused to board flood and just pure straight up storm damage, which isn't bad honestly. I've done at least 50% with this deck minimum, which is fairly good on the ladder at the moment. It's definitely respectable and worth making a video to cover. So Robo Goblin really just focusing on pumping out those potential cards. Even if we only get small boost here, obviously I'd love better boost on that card, but I'll settle for a single boost on it if it means I get a nice ward. Especially since I really do need a good turn 5 play, and I really don't have a lot to do on turn 5 here. But we have got a very respectable turn 6, so now that we end up with a double mono, we actually got a potential lethal setup going on here. Double mono is at least 12 damage minimum. 13 once you include, of course, mono's boost, I think. So that should be very, very interesting. It's really just going to be a matter of getting things done now. And I did decide to go for Armored Bat since the opponent didn't have anything to really target, and just freeing up a space in our hand is pretty decent. Seal of Solomon plus Fiery Embrace. Not really another issue again. Solomon, not too worried about. Not going to be a problem. We're going to heal now, which is a huge advantage to have. And I can actually go for 8 damage to our opponent, which does put them right in that lethal range that we want of 12. And we should have a pretty decent turn next turn, since we can freely use our Evo Point or go for Destructive Succubus. Either one would work extremely well here. And it does look like our opponent's not really going to do anything, so I just throw down the Technolord plus the Evo on the Technolord, just to make him a little stickier and more of a problem to remove. Because at this point, that's all I need. If I can secure the board, I shouldn't have a problem. Unbodied Witch, that's an interesting one and not one I was expecting, to be honest. So this should make for a very interesting turn. It's not very easy to go for lethal in rotation with Unbodied Witch, I don't believe, but they definitely would have got some nice cards out of that, I reckon. Unfortunately for them, though, we have the perfect lethal setup here with, of course, a mono. It's going to let us go for a very, very comfortable lethal. So double Alpha Drive. It's definitely the time to concede when you see double mono Alpha Drive come onto a clear board. So for me, mono is definitely the primary win condition of this deck. It's pretty easy to set up in this one too. I've played a few different Mech Blood decks, and I always found mono a little bit more of a pain to set up, but in this variation in particular, it seems to be fairly straightforward. I actually find it harder usually to set up Steel Rot Vampire. We did a nice turn last turn, but normally all I can get it to is Rush. Sometimes not even with Bane, since Drain, since that can be a little hard to set up without drawing into good draw power cards. That doesn't mean the deck is bad by any means though, they're just some things that I've noticed while playing. It's still a very solid deck, and can perform reasonably well, although I'm not sure how it will fare in the meta as far as going forward. There's definitely some powerful decks out there, with Sword of still being very popular and powerful, Rune, of course, having a lot of variation and options, and Haven even surviving fairly well overall. So I think if anything comes out next expansion to support this, it could be good. If it doesn't, we're really looking at a lackluster one, and we're going to, of course, lose a bunch of cards with the next expansion for a lot of decks, so it could be interesting to see the shift. Like Lionhaven, for example, will probably not exist much after next expansion. Or at least not as much. So St. Hare's play from them, not an issue. We've really just been throwing stuff to the board, as you can see. Throwing down the, of course, Machina cards as much as possible to support mono. We end up with 3 Steel Rot, which is not a great thing to get in your hand at this point in the game. At least we've got some way to support this reasonably well, since we can remove all the followers. And I was trying to set myself up here. Unfortunately for me, it doesn't really go the way I planned, as Holy Lion Crystal was quite a nice play, but the Black Inscription wasn't. I was hoping that I could take advantage of Store Vampire, get as much as I could out of it, but I decided to just forgive it. Not worth the hassle of trying. And this time just focus on the board.
Emergency mode activated.
Legendary Fighter gets to come down with the Mori Ecrium.
The legend will never die. Shutting down.
And now I actually get a chance to do something. I went for Metal Blade Demon, looking for more cards. We end up getting Mono, which is a pretty respectable one to get there. If I had to get any card, Mono is definitely one of the ones I would want. We also got the Signuin Core, not really sure how I want to pronounce it, but either way, we got the Core card, which is a decent healer as well, so we actually can buy ourselves some time as well if we want to. And we can also wipe this board, so I mean, why not take it? Since we can't do much else and we are going to lose the 6-2. That was the only play I could really think of now. The only problem is it does give them a free turn to pump Holy Lions onto our board. So it definitely does not look good for me. So triple Holy Lion. Armored Bat. That's actually not too bad to get here. An Armored Bat with an Evo, it does at least let us take out one of these lions. We have Repair Mode, which allows us to potentially pump at least 1 to 2 more lions, which in this case 2. Very respectable. And their Holy Lion Crystals are probably all going to go face. I have to assume that will be the case. If they don't, they could be facing lethal. Although they did, of course, go for this ward, so respect on their part. So I do have a chance to go for the Hellblaze Demon. Giving it to Mono does give us a chance at a lethal. Not a massive chance, but a chance, since they probably can't kill us next turn thanks to these double ward. And with already having 2 lions on board, they would definitely require a spell to win the game. Preferably a couple of spells on their end. So I took the odds and run them in my head, and turned out that was a pretty decent play. The only problem now is we need a god level top deck, since we do need to be able to win the game this next turn. There's a few cards that could do it, and Mono is definitely one of them, so thank God for that god tier top deck. Definitely ended up working out for us. Of course, it was extremely down to the wire there. Definitely luck-based, well, luckish based. I mean, the deck is designed fairly well. It can definitely pull off these draws fairly quickly. But overall, this deck did an awesome job, and it was a lot of fun to play. Unlike a lot of the Machina Bloods that I've played, they just haven't been a lot of fun. And this one in particular was definitely piquing my interest. So if you guys are interested in playing any of these decks, definitely be sure to check it out in the description below. Hit the like button, subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys, see ya.